got our seminar today, which is monitoring control project work. So let me tell you what I'm doing just as a background kind of thing. That is, I've already our team submitted this class to PMI. So like Angela, you're going to get 1 credit at minimum. You probably get more than that because you prepared for it. So you get between 3 and 5 credits for PDUs for doing your presentation, a short one.
Okay.
And then everybody who attends, some of you already have your 35 hours, but if you don't have your 35 hours to take the PMP, then you're going to start getting credit. So I submitted to PMI, and Anthony, who was here last week, he's going to be our PMI reviewer. So ask me about that, Angela, later on, because you can PMI reviewer. Like when we launch a new course, I think you can get PDUs for that as well. So it's in pretty good. Okay,
sounds good. Thank you.
You bet. All right, so here's what we have today. We have our welcome, which I just did, and then Angela's going to talk about her experience taking the PMP, which I'm very proud of her. I know she was kind of worried, and I kind of almost thought like she was like my daughter because I do have 2 daughters. So that she was worried, but I knew in class that she was ready to go because I can tell, Angela. I don't know if you know that. So a lot of these things, you know, when we take these exams, I know we're worried. I know all those things because I've been there, and I just want you to know that sometimes we can overreact to thinking that the exam is impossible. Now, I don't want to steal Angela's thunder, but we've all been there. We've all been there, and sometimes, you know, this exam can be pretty tough, and I know that for some people it is, and that's okay. So we're going to go through our topics. I wrote 2 questions today. I really like the questions that I wrote, so I'm going to share those with you today, and then I'm going to confirm our next meeting. And anybody who has questions for Angela, including myself, we can ask. So let's go ahead and get started with that, Angela. Why don't you get started and tell us about your PMP experience?
Okay. Well, first I just wanted to start out with a word of encouragement for everybody, because I know it can be very daunting and challenging as you're going through and reading this stuff. I just want to tell you all to hang in there. I myself work a full-time job, and I have 2 children. One is 3 years old, one is 1 year old, and so I really want to encourage you. If I could do it, you all can do it too. So just hang in there. I listened in on the call last week because I didn't want to be repetitive or too repetitive from what you heard from the individual that shared his experience last week. But I will start out with how I approached the whole exam. Because I am a mother of 2 very small ones, studying was a little bit more difficult for me, and so I just found those quiet times anywhere from 45 minutes to 1 hour a day to squeeze in some reading and practice. And on the weekends, I would do a little more, maybe 2 to 4 hours total over the weekends. But that's just the way it worked for me. I did read a book twice, cover to cover, and I actually worked every exercise in the book just to make sure I was further grabbing the concepts that, you know, we should be from reading the book. I rarely looked at the PMBOK, rarely. The only time I ever really did is whenever I wanted further clarifications on the tools and techniques within a particular knowledge area. Other than that, I really didn't reference it. I don't know if that was smart to do, but I don't feel like it hindered my success in any way for the exam. I still felt pretty prepared just from reading and learning the key terms from Rita. Throughout the whole process, too, especially after I read it the first time through, I started taking practice exams because it showed me kind of those areas where I needed to be more focused on as I read it the second time through. And I was trying to think back, and I think I probably took maybe anywhere from 600 to 700 practice questions, and it is a lot. But I think it helped me prepare and be better able for those vast amount of scenario questions that are on the exam. Mm-hmm. The other thing I did too, and I thought was really helpful, is there is a simulator. I believe it's on one of the online tools that you'll get access through Kool Derby Academy, where you can practice your ITOs. I thought that was really helpful, and I know was very key to me being able to answer numerous questions on the exam. So I definitely encourage you all that can access to definitely use that ITOS online simulator. Now getting into the exam itself, the day before and the day of, I didn't do any practice exams, so I just wanted to give myself a break, time to rest, because it is pretty rigorous. And so I just felt also that if I didn't know the material the day before the exam, I really didn't feel like I was going to learn anything that I didn't already know. So I just tried to relax and do something to ease the tension and the nerves for the exam. I definitely thought it was a challenging exam. I would say that the version that I got, I felt like anywhere from 90–95% of the questions were short, 1 or 3 sentence type questions, but were still pretty challenging. And the approach that I took is I actually would read the last sentence or two first. I would look at the answer choices, and then I would go and read the question, just because I felt like doing that and seeing the answer choices gave me a good idea of what I should be expecting the question to look like. And I feel like it even helped me narrow down choices. In hindsight, I don't know if that was the best approach, because I found sometimes I would have to reread a question, and part of that could have also been that I was concerned about being tricked on a question. So I did catch myself rereading things. To get through all 200, the first pass, it took a while. It was 3 hours and 40 minutes for me. And I had marked about 20 questions that I had to go back through and finish up on for those last 20 minutes. I felt like, and I did use the time, that 15-minute tutorial, I did use that time to write down the knowledge areas and also the planning process group. And I also wrote down all the formulas during that tutorial time. I didn't have any time or any issues doing that. As soon as they sat me down, I just pushed start on the tutorial and started doing that. And I wasn't told anything about doing that. So I would recommend doing that as well. The exam that I got to was very light on earned value questions. I think at most maybe 4. 2 of them were pretty simple, just finding the variance, schedule, or cost. But the rest took a little bit of, a little bit of a easy algebra. But then I also had an exam where there were about 6 network diagrams.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I thought, and they weren't easy. I actually had to, do some pass-through, so that was kind of time-consuming. But I felt just from practice, I was able to get through them. Also thinking back, I also felt like very heavy on stakeholder management, scope, schedule, risk, and quality were the ones that I felt I was heavily tested.
I don't want to interrupt you, but those are pretty good to be heavy on, because those can be learned.
So that's really all that I had written down in my notes. I am happy to answer any questions or.
Well, I have questions, but let me see if anybody else has, because I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
Does anybody have a question for Angela regarding the exam? I know we lost a couple people there. Well, as folks are thinking about that, Angela, so then what was because you told me it was very, very difficult, so what was difficult about it?
I thought, personally, I'm a little bit of a nervous, jittery test taker. So one of the things was, of course, watching your time. And I think at times it could be a little challenging for me to figure out where I was, what knowledge area I was. So that was something that gave me a little bit of trouble throughout the exam. And I think, there were, straightforward questions throughout the exam, but a lot of them take, a good amount of thought. But I think knowing the key terms, being well prepared, and knowing, just basic exam taking helps you through the process of elimination and getting to that best answer. And, it is tough, because you're looking for the best answer most of the time, not, the correct one, but the best answer.
I know, yeah. Yeah, good point. All right, I got another question, but let's see if anybody else has questions before I ask mine. Does anybody else have a question for Angela?
Can you guys hear me?
Lindsay, we can hear you so well, it's unbelievable.
Awesome. Angela, how you mentioned that you studied probably 45 minutes to an hour a day and then longer on the weekends. How long did that kind of study schedule last?
Just because, I felt like my time was so limited with everything I have going on, I actually started reading the Rita first time through right after Christmas. So I started reading probably the day after New Year's Day, so January 2nd, and went all the way through until maybe like 3 days before I took my exam, and I just took it 2 weeks ago.
Okay, awesome. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and everybody's a little different, and I think everybody who knows me already knows that I ran out of time, so I only did a 30-day window because I was a procrastinator. So everybody's a little different, and maybe that's why I didn't do as well as everybody else in here. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. Anybody else before we move on to our topic? Okay, good. Thank you so much, Angela. Congratulations. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
As I told my daughter 2 weeks ago when she graduated from college, I'm just so happy when people do well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Angela.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go through our topic. I won't keep you long. I know some of you, it's late in the day, but we're going to talk about monitor and control project work. And remember that monitor and control project work is in the monitoring and controlling process group. So as Angela was talking about earlier, we have process groups, and you have to know what those are. They're initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, control, and closing, right? There are 5 process groups. So don't forget those. And I know that Angela, she talked about ITOs, monitor, controlling, and closing. Those are the 5 process groups. So this is the process of testing, reviewing, and reporting progress. So we need to know if the progress is coming along to standards. Although we don't always have a ton of questions related to earn value, they are still important to know from a theme standpoint. So why do we do it? The key benefit is that it allows stakeholders to understand the current state of a project. I'm going to show you something here in a second that's so important and that I wish I would have known when I took the exam, and that's earned value management. Not only from a calculation, but also what is the health of the project. All right, so 3 terms that I found today. I was looking around, kind of thinking about what would confuse me on an exam, and these terms kind of came up. There's a schedule forecast. All right, so remember, forecast is future oriented. That's one thing that I want to make sure you know, is that schedule is about the future. That's a question that could come up on the exam. You can get asked, hey, what's about the future? Well, it's a forecast. And they're derived from progress against the schedule baseline. Make sure you know what that is. A schedule baseline is, what did you anticipate? What did you anticipate that the schedule was going to be? Was it 12 months, 24, 36? That's your baseline. You can have more than one baseline, but that is a schedule baseline. What did you anticipate? How much time did you anticipate the project would take? And then you're going to do ETC. I'm going to come back to ETC here in a second so you can get a better grasp of it. I can promise you now that this is a very important topic because I've seen it, and I know it confused me on the exam when I took it. Now, cost forecast is about progress against the cost baseline. What does that mean? What is the budget? And I know Angela talked about it too. What is the budget for the project? If you say the project is going to be $1 million, then is it 1 million or does it change? It changes based on the ETC. ETC means that here's a project. Let me get a whiteboard real quick. Hold on. So it's a 12-month project. Yeah, no, not a straight line. All right, so at month number 6, you might do an evaluation or ETC and say, hey, you know what? The project is not the cost is not going to be 1 million. Based on the new estimated to completion, it's going to be 1.5 million. So remember that the ETC is, hey, we're along the way here now. We thought it was going to be 1 million, but after we've done further analysis, it's not 1 million. It's more than that. That's the ETC. This is in the PMBOK now. So when you get a chance, go to the PMBOK, because this information came straight from the PMBOK. It's found elsewhere, but just know it's there as well. All right. If you have questions, let me know, because this is very important stuff as far as knowing what the ETC, the schedule, forecast. One thing I want to make sure you know is that forecast, if you want to use the FNF, let's use the FNF. Hold on. All right, I just made this up right now. So if forecast is future. Okay, forecast is what is the future. And like I said, I just made that up, but that makes sense. The forecast is the future of the project. Are we going to spend more money, less money? Are we on schedule, or are we not on schedule? All right. Questions to this point? Are you okay with this? If you have questions, you can always ask me. Believe me, I'll either know the answer or I'm going to make one up. All right. Here's question number one. I only have two for you today. The project team has spent the last 17 months managing a railroad construction project. While the project is on schedule, cost overruns are causing tension among key stakeholders. Regarding the work performance data that is reported from this project, which of the following is the most correct statement? All right, most. As Angela said today, we're looking for the best answer now. Best answer. All right, I'm going to read these to you, and I want you to think about them before you make a response, because it's very important. On its own, data cannot be used to make strategic decisions because it has only out-of-context meaning. 2, or B, leaders strive to collect as much feedback as possible before making any decisions. And C, work performance data is of no value to decision makers. And D, the main issue is cost overruns, which is unrelated to work performance data. All right, so tell me what the worst answer is. Which one is a distractor? Which one would you not agree with?
C.
C.
All right, well, C and B. Tell me why C is not good.
Because it's absolutely of value to decision makers.
All right, thank you for all your commitment to that answer. That is correct. I'm going to put a red comment to it. That's right. I mean, look, data is always related to making decisions, right? If you have no data, you can't make decisions. All right, good answer there. All right, what else did we come up with? No, what's definitely not the answer. Not the answer. Hold on, I gotta pull up my chat. I don't think I have my chat. Hold on. Can y'all, Jeff, can you hear me? I'm just pulling up my. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me, right? Okay, good. All right, so I agree. C, Charlie's gone. What else is gone? B. Okay, what is wrong with B? What is wrong with B? Tell me, if you tell me what's wrong with B, I'm going to give you a trip to Galveston. All right, tell me what's wrong with B. B's wrong, I agree, but what is wrong with B? Yeah. Really, yeah, I agree, Carrie. I mean, it's kind of weird, you know, it's kind of weird. Carrie says unrelated to the question. All right, so B, Bravo, Charlie are gone. What else is gone? You got Alpha, Delta. If you get this one right, I'm going to be very happy with you. Tell me what's not right between A and D. What's not right? Come on, guys. Don't be afraid. We're not taking the real test here. I mean, we're here just to practice. What do you think? Between A and D, what's not right?
I would say that it's A, just because you need more than data because of the out of context concept, but I could be wrong.
So you're saying A is wrong or right?
I'm saying A is right.
Okay. So have you ever had a nice trip to Galveston?
That's funny. Is it right?
That is correct.
Awesome.
That is correct. I was worried, but then I was going to go get my Baileys. So you are correct. This is a really hard question, right? It's hard. Tell me. All right. Here's what I want you to know. Why is this question hard? Because it's hard. It's very difficult. I would have missed it on the exam. But tell me why it's hard. If you tell me why it's hard, not anybody, tell me why this question is hard.
I would just say because you almost second guess yourself because it feels like there's multiple answers that could be it.
Yeah, that's right. That is partly the answer, because D sounds semi-right, but you know the one that really tricked me when I wrote it, because I wrote it myself. So when I wrote it was that Bravo is such a good answer in the real world, isn't it? Leaders strive to collect as much feedback. Think about the real world. Don't we try to collect as much feedback? Isn't that what we do?
That's what I was drawn to originally.
Yeah, me too, because I wrote it. I mean, I knew that was a difficult question because we do try to do that. But from the PMBOK standpoint, this is a PMBOK question. On its own, data cannot be used. Because remember, data is here's data, number of complaints. Okay, well, that's data. But wouldn't it be nice to know the number of complaints for a department, or for a month, for a group? Wouldn't that be better? Right? Tell me if you see that, right? Do you all see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, so what PMI is painting a picture is between data and information. That's what PMI is doing. It's saying, do you know the difference between data and information? Can you make the distinction? Yeah, sure. Yeah, data is important. But on its own, data cannot be used to make strategic decisions. Because why? Because data is data. Data is not good enough for us to make big decisions. So what's the answer? A. Does everybody agree, or you have questions on that? All right, I'm going to count that as agree. So good job, Andy. All right, hard or easy? Tell me. Because I write these questions by looking at this stuff. Hard or easy?
Hard.
Hard? So let's just go hard. Let's go like this. Let's go like this. Difficult, intermediate, or basic? Where would you put that one?
Difficult.
It's pretty tough, right? But if you know the stuff, I mean, you're going to pass the exam. There's no doubt about it. Because if you can think at this high level, you're going to knock out the exam. All right, one more. During a recent status meeting, the site engineer for the medical construction project is concerned that materials are running late. The engineer raised the issue during the last status meeting, but the issue went unaddressed. One team member stated that the vendor in charge of the materials has a history of failing to meet expectations. All right? So what is the preferred approach to solving this problem? A, inform the vendor that all dates must be kept or contract termination will ensue. Give the vendor 90 days to take corrective action. Ask the project team to communicate with the vendor and determine the root cause of the problem. Review the contract to ascertain the preferred approach to improving vendor performance. All right, what's a no-go? What doesn't work for you? No way.
B.
Okay, that's a good answer. Who said B, Lindsay? All right, tell me why. Why B? Why B?
90 days is too long.
Well, but 90 days is irrelevant, right? Who cares? Right? Do you agree? Whether that number was 30, 60, 90, 120, 180, does that matter?
No.
It doesn't matter. You're delinquent. So you're right. You're right. All right. B's gone. So you see what you've done, Lindsay. You've done everybody a favor, right? Why did you do everybody a favor?
Oh, that wasn't me. I think that was Yolanda.
Oh, Yolanda. Hey, Yolanda, why did you do everybody a favor?
Because she's minimized our answers.
That's right. We have improved our chances, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better at improving our chances of getting questions right. Good job. So now we get A and C and D. All right, what are you getting rid of?
I would say A is out.
Yeah, what the hell is that, right?
Seems kind of rude.
Yeah, that's stupid, right? I agree. Yeah, I mean, you do what we want, we'll fire you. Yeah, that's real business, but that's not PMI business. Good job. That's gone. So A and C are gone. A and B are gone. Now we got Charlie Delta, right? All right, between Charlie Delta, which one sounds right?
C.
Okay, why C? Tell me why C is right, and I'll agree with you. Anybody? I mean, don't leave Lizzie hanging. Anybody? Why is C right?
I would just say because the contract wouldn't have specific information about improving vendor performance.
Okay, so that's a good job. So who said that?
That's me, Carrie.
Right, Carrie. That's a good answer. So you've done the opposite. You, instead of going to Charlie, you went to Delta, right?
Yeah, that's
exactly right. Then that's a smart thing to do. You went and eliminated the other one because the contract has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
The contract has something to do with what you're supposed to do, and not exactly every time with how and to what level, right? Now, could contracts have that? Sure. But what am I asking you to do? To pick the what?
The preferred approach.
Well, close.
Best answer.
What do you see right on the screen?
B for best.
B for best. Now, I'm not telling you D's not right. It possibly could be right. But what's the best answer? Look at this option. Ask the project team. Is that a good thing to do?
Always.
Always. Because we as a project manager, we're not always the smartest. To communicate with the vendor, what's the key word I used right there?
Communicate.
You see? Can that be wrong? No, it can't be wrong. To determine, not to tell them, to determine what? The RCA. Does that make sense?
It does.
You guys make this harder than it should be. It's not that hard. I mean, yes, we're going to get some wrong along the way, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to get most of them right. Okay, let's review that one. Easy, let's change the easy, medium, or difficult. Where was that one?
Medium.
I put that one in the middle.
I would say medium too.
Medium. Okay. Yeah, when I wrote that one, I thought it was medium. I didn't think it was that hard because I thought I gave you that term right there, communicate. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh, you guys are too smart. Do I need to write harder questions or what?
The first one was pretty hard.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. I agree. In fact, it really confused me. In fact, I wrote it and it confused me. So, all right. So, helpful? Not helpful? What do you think?
I think it's very helpful.
All right. You guys want me to make these questions harder, or are you okay with the difficulty level?
I'm good with it.
Don't sound so confident. It's scary. So, all right. So now you've got some good information now. So remember the topics that I cover here now. The topics are there. These questions are not the questions that I show you. They're not designed to answer one question. They're designed to answer 10 or 20 because the concepts are the same. PMI has the same concepts. I mean, the test writers use the same techniques. So what we're discussing here applies across the board. All right? Okay, let me go back to what I was saying earlier. 8 o'clock, okay, because I'm thinking about having a second session during the day, but during the evening, is it too late, too early? What do you think?
I feel like 8 is perfect.
Okay.
It's good for me.
Okay, and you like the short sessions, 30 minutes or so?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's helpful.
All right, awesome. All right, who's going to take the test next? Who's on the line next time? Tell me your test date. Come on, we have pressure on you. Anybody? Okay, anybody in the summer?
I'm hoping to take mine in July.
Okay, good. And by the way, I talked to a colleague of mine from PMI, and it looks like the change for the exam is July of next year. I'm sorry, June of next year.
Definitely take it before then.
Yeah, well, we want to because why are we messing around, right? All right, well, I'll see you next Monday.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Thank you.